Or wait for the answer a little bit.
Wait for the answer.
Okay, neurology here. Our brain. Yeah, this is step number 2. Brain 101. Do this. Yep. Yep, all doing that. Thumb tucked in. Yeah, okay, yeah, got to do it right. Yeah, this is your brain. Some people I know, this is actually the size of their brain as well. And they call it toilet paper at the moment. Okay, that's nasty. I will make fun of people that do that, but anyway, I do it in good jest. Okay, seriously, this is really the physical representation or easy representation of your brain. Okay, you can put them down now, but keep looking at mine then. What does our brain consist of? Anyone knows? Nah? I'll prompt it. Spinal cord, yeah, dives out of your skull into your back, finishes somewhere near your tailbone, and that's pretty much your spinal cord. Attached to that one is the first part of 3 parts of your brain, or 3 major parts. Brain stem. That's the most primitive part of our brain. It's the oldest, evolutionarily speaking, about 300 million years old if you look at evolution. We share that with reptiles, so they often call it the reptilian brain. Reptiles have that. They don't have much beyond that. This is most of their brain. What does it do? It keeps you alive. Really, that's it. It beats your heart, breathes your lungs. It pretty much watches your blood pressure. It looks after your body temperature. A couple other really essential functions that it probably does as well. But that's pretty much what it does. It keeps you physically going. It's the server in your company. It's the server room. That's where it all takes place. It has one role that I'll discuss really briefly later on when we have strong emotions, but that's about it. In there, and that's the middle bit, the thumb tucked in, we have a slightly younger part of our brain. So this is the front really. You look at brainstem, spinal cord, that's the front. The eyes would be facing that way. That is your limbic system. So it's a fairly old part of your brain as well, about 200 million years old. Again, fairly old. What that does, it also helps to keep you alive, but then from an external point of view. So it's simple terms, it's the fight-flight brain. It helps you to look, it uses your senses to scan the environment constantly, to look for things that could kill you, and look for things that actually could keep you alive better. So food, sleep, sex, all good, because that's all survival enhancing. Saber-toothed tigers, mammoths, cars, trucks, and pterodactyls, all really bad, or even though we weren't around in the pterodactyl time, but anyway. We'll try and make you run away from fight-flight brain. Now it has 4 ways, and I actually call that, if you look at a company, that's the security guard. Your secchi. It's your secchi, it's your inbuilt secchi. Don't have to pay much more than a couple of sandwiches every now and then. It's inbuilt secchi, so it looks after you. Now it has 4, combined with the brain stem, it has 4 ways to deal with stuff. And I'll talk you through those. One is, that's scared, so flight. One is, fight. The other one is, that's, we want some more. And the other one is, So we have fight, flight, freeze, and faint. Well, and then there's a 5th one that says, I want that. So 5 reactions that our brain actually makes us do. Now, the brainstem is involved in dissociation. So if you talk with people, for instance, who've been through really bad sexual trauma, for instance, they dissociate. You sometimes hear stories that they just weren't there anymore when things happened. That's dissociation. It's the ultimate defense of your body to just pretty much shut everything out. It's like, I'm just not here. You go into this sort of outer body experience. That's how it feels for many people. And it doesn't have to happen with sexual stuff anyway, but really bad things that happen to you, you just fade out. And it's a really good defensive response. It's really solid, because you will not remember much from that episode anyway, but your body does. It's just you will not remember much, because it doesn't get stored in your long-term memory all that much. It's a really good defensive mechanism. So you got the, I want that. You got the, flight. You got the, fight. And you got the, dissociate. 4 responses. Now, because the secchi has the closest connections to your physical senses, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, fingers, etc., it always gets information from the world first. It just does. Evolutionarily speaking, that's just how we're wired. So things first go to the control room, to see if there's potential danger in that or not. or if it's something we must have, yeah, or somewhere in between and we couldn't be bothered either way. Yeah, it could be the case. So senses first to our limbic system, also a little bit to the part that we'll talk about shortly, but mostly to limbic system. So it always has first call on things. So the security guard presses alarm buttons, looks at the cameras, checks everything, makes sure that we have enough food, we have enough fences around us, electric fencing, wiring, trip wires, booby traps, whatever else, just to keep us safe. Yeah? And then on top of that, about 100 million years old is what sets us apart from many of the other the other animals, really. It's because we're a human animal, is our neocortex that just sits straight on your skull. That's the CEO of your company, runs the show. Ideally. Ideally it runs the show. So CEO, yeah, makes the decisions, yeah, weighs up pros and cons, makes decisions about what's good in life, where do we want to go, what plans do we want to make, how do we want to live our lives, you know, what's dumb, what's not so dumb, let's have a look at that. So it pretty much runs the show, and the most important part is the prefrontal cortex that sits above your eyes, pretty much, you know, straight above there. That makes the decisions. Now, CEO and security guard ideally work together. They do. Through, and that's important for the mindfulness game, through a layer, forget the word, but I'm going to say it anyway, the somatosensory cortex. So the cortex that allows us to feel our bodies is actually the communication channel between the CEO and the security guard. They talk through that line. It's like, you know, cans with a little cord in between. This is how they talk, you know, over that line. But what happens as well is that because we are wired slightly to the negative, so we're more prone to pick up dangers because there's more things that can kill us potentially than for us to feel good, the security guard has a little bit more say about how things are going to happen, and that's where it goes wrong in most human beings. Because once there is a lean, then there's a tendency for that lean to become a little bit more over time, you know, gravity pulls. Yeah, so with this aversion craving thing, over time we might run into a problem that we start to go for things that we think will make us feel better more frantically, and run us away from stuff that we think are going to make us feel worse more frantically. So the security guard is actually starting to run the show now. So instead of the security guard sitting in his or her little cubicle just monitoring stuff and making sure we stay alive, it actually puts a silk suit on, a couple of crocodile boots, and walks upstairs and just plunks down in the CEO's chair and they go like, you butt off, I'll just run the show from now on. And that's when you get things like panic buying. It makes no sense, and that's what the CEO says. It makes no sense. Why do you do that? But the security guy goes like, well, let me tell you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 reasons, yeah, and this is really important, and we must hoard all that stuff because that's safe. It makes us feel so much safer, and if we don't do that, then coronavirus is going to kill us, even though we have 3,000 toilet rolls in the cupboard. Yeah, and the security and the CEO goes like, what? But we still do it, and we do it all the time.